have direct contact, eye contact, hold hands with family members. So I wouldn't dare sit here to try to dilute, that principle. So in looking at our city, so there are no youth that are going to be going to Harrisburg Valley from Joliet. I just want to clarify that.
How about Kiwani or
Kiwani, St. Charles, no, not Murfreesboro, not Harrisburg, and so Kiwani, St. Charles, Chicago.
all right? An advocate who's in my area has been a non-pareil juvenile justice system. Had a concern about the Redeploy Illinois program, the fact that it was not in the south suburbs were not availing themselves of this program. Is that true, not true?
But that's a DHS, Department of Human Services program. But in terms of us looking at our department collaborating and in support of trying to divert youth and prevent youth from coming in, we are in support of that. But that's not.
No, I know it's not a program, but
it's out of my domain.
That's true, but it's part of that whole panoply of programs that people feel, because there is a feeling that they're just not being served, and so this was one of the issues that came to me, and in general.
That's just clarification that the youth aren't being served.
Yeah, that essentially some of these issues, like what we're here today, that there's sort of disproportionate treatment, with regard to these youth who come from the Chicagoland area, the fact that they will be transitioned other places. Like I just said, this is what the perception may be, and I think that, as I said earlier, the difference between perception and reality. I think that maybe more can be done if that's not the case. Get out there in the public and dispel some of these issues. Earlier, one of the gentlemen talked about the $11.7 million in savings, 17 or whatever it was, and the 5 that would be necessary to for other things that need to be done. One of the concerns I've always had with all of these closings is when we look at some of the economic impact studies that basically show that the diminution of local economic activity is much more than what would be saved. Now, that may not necessarily be your concern, but I was looking at the study that said that basically 219 direct jobs would be lost, 87 indirect jobs, that's 306, and then $30.6 million in total economic output in the region essentially would be lost. Though that's not your concern, but that is an independent study that says that this is what would be the impact if this center goes away. Now, how would you address that?
What we go back to is the overall state budget, and the governor introduced a budget of $33.9 billion. Last week, the House of Representatives voted to put another big chunk of money to pay some old bills. So we're faced with this budget reality that there's a lot less money out there to go around in the state budget. And when you take the Medicaid issue and the pension issue, squeezing everything out, that's what we're left with. We need to make tough decisions here.
The decisions, are tough ones, but I think going forward, this is the last thing I'm going to do. Going forward, you've got a selling job to do, not just to us. We're playing our executive branch, legislative branch, checks and balances right here. But even though you're not elected, you still have a responsibility to the folks sitting behind you and the broader population to explain what it is, that you're doing. Because one of the things that's happening is you're talking about care and continuity of care and caring for the people. At the same time, out of the set of your mouth now, I mean that pejoratively, you talk about cost savings. And folks gonna ask the question, well, which is it? How can you take care of these vulnerable populations, these, in some cases, dangerous populations, and talk about, your plans and studies and all of those kinds of things, and say, well, but we have to also be concerned fiscally. Budget of the state is being cut. We're all partially responsible for that. But the folks outside, they still see $33 billion. And so they might say to you, how do you best deploy those monies, especially since some of these kinds of concerns have a much greater, social impact. So, you got a tough job. And hopefully we can work together to come up with something, but I just hope you understand the gravity of the situation.
Thank you,
Representative